Okay guys, we are back for our next topic. This is one of the probably parts of taking pictures that I see kids try out a lot, and we talk about it when we go through their pictures, is kind of blurring out a background, all right? And the way that you get that blurry background is by changing your f-stop or changing your aperture, okay? And there's a couple of things that go into this. One is the distance away from the object you're taking a picture of, and then number two is the distance from that object to other things, okay? So if I'm gonna take a picture, or maybe my camera girl here is gonna take a picture of me, the backgrounds will be blurrier, easier if they're far away from me. If the background is right behind me, you'll have a much harder time getting that to blur out, okay? Because that distance creates that blurriness, all right? Also, the lower or the smaller the number, the bigger the blur. So if you're working with something like a DSLR where you can change your f-stop or change your aperture, the lower the number, the better. And different lenses can go to different f-stops. So the lens I have on right now starts at f3.5. I have other lenses inside. I have one that starts at 1.4. So that one's gonna give a lot more blur than this lens is, okay? It is also considered a prime lens and not a telephoto lens. So this lens can zoom. When you get to some of those lenses with the real low f-stops, they don't zoom. They just stay at one focal length the whole time. So I'm actually gonna take a picture of this flower right here. So these are peony bushes, and this one is just getting ready to open, which is so fun. Plant photography is really great for kind of that beginning stage of the photography part of 4-H where you can take pictures that tell a story. I often see people like making cookies or baking cakes. Like that's really awesome too. But I'm coming out here every week for a month or 6 weeks and taking a picture of the growth of a plant. You know, when these peonies first start, they actually start out as red. I mean, you can kind of see the red a little bit. They start out as red little stalks. They almost kind of look like celery stalks, okay? And then eventually they turn into these big green bushes. And then when these flower, they will actually be a really large, colorful flower. We have white ones, and then there's pink ones and purple ones. So actually I'm gonna take a picture of this right here. And I'm going to blur out the background. So I have this camera set to my lowest f-stop, which is 3.5, okay? I'm gonna get as close as I can with my zoom. And this might be kind of hard to see in the sun. I hope I turned it back on. So you can see that the bulb, oh, it's not a bulb, the blossom is in focus, but all this greenery behind it starts to fade away. So the leaves that are the closest to it will be the most in focus. And as you get down into these leaves down here, they're going to blur even more. All right, now I'm gonna do it with the iPhone camera. iPhone cameras, Android cameras are the same kind, same basic idea, but a lot of them have what is called a portrait mode. So on the camera, that's the same thing as saying you want to blur a background. So I'm going to take a picture, and if you notice, I did put this one nearly in the center when I did the photo on my big camera. All right, so here's the photo that I just took on my phone. So you can see the blossom is in focus, that these leaves are on the same plane as the blossom are in focus, and it starts to blur out the farther it goes. We're gonna do another shot using our blurred background or our aperture. So you see I have a lilac tree right here, and I'm actually gonna be shooting so I'm shooting from the side because I want the foliage or the leaves of the bush in the background. Sometimes when you shoot straight on, because it's thinner, sometimes the middle, because of the sticks and the branches, it doesn't fill the picture as well. So I'm actually going to be shooting from this side, and I'm not going to shoot the lilacs that are right in front of me, that closest to me. I'm actually going to shoot right here in the middle. So don't be afraid to try to focus on something that isn't necessarily right in front of you, okay? So I'm still gonna compose this using my rule of thirds. I'm gonna use the right pretty much the entire right section of my screen, or the right third. And then I'm gonna blur out the green behind this little patch of purple lilacs. I'm also gonna apologize in advance if my dogs join in the shot because they're out here playing. So I'm going to set this up on the right side of my screen. Let me take another one. The sun came out since I had my settings done. All right. Okay, so you see all this greenery behind the lilacs is blurred out. You can see the lilacs, and then you can also see some of that green foliage that we know then carries over to the back right up front with the lilac. Now I'm going to take the same picture with my phone using that portrait mode. You can really get almost the same effects from iPhone cameras. And again, I'm sure that Samsung and those Android cameras are the same. I just don't have one of those cameras to show you. So we really can tell what the focus of our picture is. And this is just extra, okay? So we know what we want our eyes to look at. We're going with our rule of thirds, and then we're using our lower f-stops or our flower portrait mode on your point and shoot cameras, or portrait mode on your camera. So thanks so much for learning how to blur backgrounds. Have a good day.